Assalamu alaikum friends and welcome back to the course. In the previous video, we saw a really weird problem. In that video, we are going to debug it and understand what is happening under the hood. So let's get started. So here, the tests are failing. Let me run the test again to see them failing. Not all the tests, only some of them. There is a pattern, of course. So here, I need to check what is happening. I need to check whether we are passing those values or not. I need to see what is the actual value of the prayer types. Here, the prayer types, I'm going to output them to string, and I need to see what is their values actually. Here we have this value passed. I will need just to note those on separate sheet. So here I know the actual values here, right? And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to step back and replace that code test we're passing. Please go back, making the array there. Until this point, it should pass. I think, yeah, let me repeat that. Let me delete that here. Awesome. Now it should pass. Everything's passing. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this into a separate variable. Let's call it P, like that. I'm going to delete this one. And this time should be P dot to array. This should do nothing. It should pass. It's passing. Awesome. And here I'm going to output what is happening in the P. Maybe there is different value here. This test should pass. Nothing's happening actually. And here in this test, I believe it was the first one, right? I need to compare this, finally. You need to understand what is happening. Okay, so here's the thing. This one is the same, this one is the same, this one is the same, I believe. This one is the same, exactly, it's the same, that's why it's highlighting. This one is the same, this one is the same, and this one is the same. Actually, we don't have problems with that. This kind of exploration to understand what is going under the hood, so we can go back safely. But it doesn't make sense. Okay, now I understand what happened exactly. Let's go back. I believe, like, this is the thing. You need to debug to understand. Like, it won't happen just over time. If you run it again, it's passing. It should pass. Nothing special. Exactly, everything is passing. Now, we decided to do the following, right? If you remember, we decided to have here something called prayer times, and then have something called times here, and make times dot to array. And here, we simply removed that from here, I believe, and then we made some other variable called prayer times in here, if you remember well, right? Then we passed this one here, and we thought it should work. Well, it shouldn't. Why it shouldn't work? Because with the prayer times, we will get it only if we enter this one. If we don't enter here, the times will be from the default one. This one isn't doing anything. So that was stupid from my part. I believe sometimes we make stupid things and we think we are smart, right? So we should fix that. Else, this can be simply fixed with an else, times equal prayer times hello dot to array. Now it should pass. Exactly, it should pass. Awesome. So at least we started with this thing. Here we can start this gradually. So instead of using this one, I'm going to use the times, but I'm going only to change, like this is simple change, right? I'm going to change only the way we are accessing. So here the 4, it means we are talking about the sunset, the fourth one, the fifth one, sorry. Here, the first one, it means the sunrise, for example, and so on. We are going to do that all over the places. So we replace the values, but actually while replacing the values, we were assigning back a problematic here because we don't assign the values of prayer time because they are var, they're immutable. I can delete this comment. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to convert this finally to prayer times, right? And then instead of returning the times, because previously we were returning the actual times as double array, and we were modifying it, right? So here is the thing. Here we are modifying the fudger only if this condition happen. It means we can create a new fudger like that of this value. Otherwise, if anything didn't change, we could use the previous times dot fudger like that. This should work. And here I can return this value. I believe this should work. I'm going to do the same for Aisha and everything else. I can do val new Aisha, and the new Aisha will equal that value, right? It will equal that value, else it will equal the previous value. It makes sense because we were using the previous values actually. Same thing for Maghrib. Val new Maghrib like following. Then we can delete this one, right? And then do else here times dot Maghrib. Instead of returning the previous time, we are going to return a copy of it with the new values. The new values, by the new values, I mean the new fudger. It will be new fudger. By Aisha, it means it will be new Aisha. And also finally, by Maghrib, it will be the new Maghrib. If it didn't change, we'll keep the previous value. It makes sense now that this should work. I'm going to convert this simply to an array. Let's run it. It should work. Exactly, it is working. Finally. Now here's the thing. This one is time. This one is time. Guess what? I can do this one, right? I can remove this one from here, and I can make a new variable like the following. It's called times like the following to array like that. So it doesn't make any problem. Let's run it. It should pass. Exactly, it is passing. It means I can return directly this one. And at the end of the day, I'm going to do to array. It should pass. That's the beauty of tests. Nice. Our test is passing. Awesome. Now we need to refactor a little bit. This will be one step at a whole because we need to put this thing, or we could do something else. We could extract this into separate function, this super function. Well, it's a little bit problematic. So let's take this function, this one, and copy it and paste it here. Awesome. We have problems. Of course, we need the time diff. Let's get the time diff. Here is the function of time diff. Finally, we can remove something from here. Simply time difference. This will be a private function to this thing. Time diff is working. Fine. We don't need this comment anymore. We can fix this fudger. Let's fix it later. We need the night portion. Let's talk about the night portion. The night portion is nothing but taking higher latitude methods and returning values based on those. Okay, this is specific to higher latitude methods. It means we can do the following. Remove this from here. And let's go back to the higher latitude methods. This one, and here have a function directly there. You can do based on this. Of course, you could remove this one, convert to expression body. This is fine. We don't have the function here. Problematic. Okay, actually, we don't have high latitude methods. Let's use it as it is. Here we do have a function called night portion. Exactly. And you are using the calculation method, calculation parameter. We need calculation parameter here. Let's pass calculation parameter, or let's make them parameters like that. And in one go, I'm going to select everything here. LGG like this one, I think that's fine. Still, we have this 5 and paste. Awesome. We have the night portion. Let me select this highlighted method and highlight this one and this one. We don't have an error here, right? We're going to make this public. Here we have the error, right? Instead of doing this one, I'm going to select another thing, which is period time dot adjust higher latitude times, pass the actual parameters. Exactly, we are passing here this stupid, right? We don't need this anymore. Or we can do it like the following, Alt Enter, convert to receiver. Exactly, we don't need that receiver anymore. Like I used only the refactoring. So instead of using this one, select all of those and you can delete. Awesome, we don't have any problem. What are the problem right now? We have high latitude methods and we need calculation method dot calculation parameter. This should pass. Exactly, it is passing. We did nothing. Simply we moved a function to another class. Now, if you take a look here, this is period time adjust method, otherwise or not. Here's the thing. You could take this and make it into a function directly there. I can go here, private, adjust. So I have this function. Let me just name it. So I copy that code. I need a higher latitude method. Makes sense. Let me rename this to type. It's not a method. And here, I'm in a period time, so I could use directly adjust higher latitude type. Here we need the calculation parameter, so we can pass also the parameter. We are returning this, and you should make return, right? And then you should change the type. So it is actually adjust higher latitudes. Here, what we can do, we can go back to that code, and we could delete that. Here's what we can do. We can do the following, adjust higher latitude like that, and then pass the different thing we need. I think this is private. Makes sense. Delete it. Error. We need to pass the following stuff. The higher latitude types, method, rename it to type, and also the calculation parameter, calculation method, calculation parameter. I believe we could remove all of that like following, make this to array, return this directly. This should work. It is working. That's awesome. Now, what we can do, of course, we are using a times in here. What we can do, we can remove this one, make this times, and this should feel much better. Nice. Here's the thing we can do right now. We can adjust this double array to accept period times directly. So actually this one itself is an adjustment, right? So we could do the following. We could copy this one right here. We go back here, function. Let's just name it adjust for the moment. It will return us a period time. and it should return pair times like the following. Exactly. Here I'm going to pass them as normal variables from that class. So here we need to pass the values here, which is the previous Fajr, the previous sunrise from the class itself, from these values, right? So I could write the following thing. This is basically the same thing, but I would need a time zone, of course, and a longitude, of course. This one should have a return. And then I'm going to use the adjust in a minute. Let's go back. Here I suspect to pass the following. I expect to pass prayer times, and then I could use the times dot the normal adjust, this one, that should have the time zone and also the longitude. And I suspect here, since we are passing the times here actually, well, I can pass the following directly here. This is big step I'm taking. Of course, make it a var in here. So let's hope for the best. It should run. Awesome. Now here's the thing. This function is only related to prayer times. We could remove this simply by using prayer times like that and remove it from here. That would work fine, but I'm going to do it above, right? It was like the following previously, of course. So here's the thing. I'm going to take this one, right? And I'm going to replace it with prayer times. Awesome. Guess what? I will take this function, remove it from here, and put it directly here. I can now make this function as private functions. Nice. Private functions. Finally, we could make all of this as private. This one private, 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 private. Because we are adjusting internally. Even this one will be adjusted internally later on. We need some couple of variables. We are going to pass them, please. So here I passed those parameters. Here you can see there is duplication. Here you can see I need to pass only the parameter. It doesn't make sense. Calculation parameters. Rename this one to parameters. Nice. Now we should have an error only above. Exactly. Instead of doing that, I'm going to adjust the time like the following. You need to pass all of those variables, and I can directly remove that. Here are the stuff we need to pass. We need to pass, of course, this adjust time doesn't require this time anymore because it's going only to adjust on the current times, of course. This should make sense. Go back. We need the longitude. We need the time zone. We need high latitude types. We need also calculation method, calculation parameter. And we need finally the dollar minutes. And this should finally work. Exactly, it is working as expected. I hope you can see how it is difficult to move certain functions to different class. We are doing it step by step, some smaller step, testing and stuff like that. That's basically it for this video. In the next video, we are going to continue that for tuning time and adjust time format. Thank you very much and see you in the next videos.